Let's take up cases of certain expenses. So let's say you paid some telephone expenses, some commission, some rent, some insurance, and let's assume these are for cash. Expenses incurred in cash. Okay. Now, what happens is that in these cases, when you've paid certain expenses, what do we know? We know that an expense account, whenever an expenditure is incurred, an expense is incurred or increased. And whenever an expense is increased, it has to be debited. So whenever you have payments like this, telephone, obviously it's an expense, it's not an asset. Commission, paid. It can also be commission received. Rent, paid. Insurance, paid. So all these are expenses in nature. And when you incur them, these are increased. So you debit them. And when you incur them in cash, cash is to be credited. Now I'm not getting into the reason as to why cash is credited, because I think in the last 10 or 12 other videos that we have done, we've discussed that n number of times. So when you incur an expense of telephone, which is an expense, is increased, and when an expense is increased, you debit it by 2000. And the payment has been made in cash, so you credit cash account. If suppose instead of cash, this would have been, let's say, telephone payable to government. So then what would have happened? There was no cash account which was there, but you would have a liability in the favor of government. There is an increase in the liability, and an increase in liability is credited. So you would have said to government account. Right? Second, commission, paid. Commission is an expense which is incurred, increased, so it has to be debited. Whatever you pay, cash, government, creditor. Depending on the mode of payment, the entry will be made. Rent. Rent is an expense, incurred, increased, debited. If paid in cash, let's say to cash, 800. 4. Insurance. Again, insurance is an expense, so you debit it to cash, 600. Right? So that's how you make the entries for expenses. Depending on whether the payment is made in cash or credit, this account will change. But all the four of these remain the same.